Hi, this is Larry London. Welcome to Border Crossings. Today, we are joined by two country music icons. They are both celebrating many, many years in the business and many accolades to accompany the years of success that they've had. It's the husband-wife team of T.G. Sheppard and Kelly Lang. We welcome you guys to Border Crossings on the Voice of America.
It's good to be with you, Larry. Always good. You know, you're one of those people that everybody loves to visit with, and we're no different. We're just glad to be with you.
Thank you. That is so nice. I appreciate that. So we're gonna, because you both have two separate albums out, and you're both doing the same business, the same job. Does it ever get competitive at home, or no?
No, you know, I have a whole different vibe of what I do than what he does, because I'm more on the writer side of things. And to be honest with you, I'm a huge fan of his, and I've always loved his talent. And yes, I am. And, you know, he's worked so hard to get where he is going and where he has been. And I just have great respect for that. So there's no competition from my side.
No, really. I mean, in the studio, it's always different because working together, she has a different pace of working and recording than I do. She's one of these people that can go in and fly by the seat of her pants and sing a song. I have to have it all written down word for word for me. So but it's always fun to be able to work with her. But no competition at all in this family.
We're each other's biggest supporters. So I think if you weren't, it would be a nightmare, really.
It would be,
yeah, it could be. Well, you know, sometimes there's a one-upsmanship. Hey, my album's #1, your album's #2. You know?
No, we just celebrate. We have different achievements that we'd like to do. And I've got some really cool things coming up that he's like even more excited for me than I am even, you know, so it pays to be each other's champion.
Mm-hmm. And your new project is Dragonfly.
Yes.
And so how many albums is this for you? Because I know that TG's had 21 #1 hits in his career.
You know what? We found out it's actually 22.
22 and still climbing.
We forgot when we were in the studio recording a duet album the other day, and we were recording his old song, Faking Love. And I said, that wasn't listed in amongst the 21. And he goes, I forgot one. So it's really funny how you can just have so much success. That's what I'm talking about. I have such admiration for what he's done. And if you can just forget a #1, that shows you've made it, right?
Yes, when you forget your #1 hits, yes. But I'm by the end of the day, he'll have his 23rd #1. Who knows?
Maybe. But you know, once you have one, it doesn't matter.
Well, you know, Dragonfly is probably my favorite album of yours.
Well, thank you.
Being I mean, it's always the latest one that's my favorite, but this one musically is something.
Well, there's some really unique pieces of I like to call them pieces of art, you know, because you start from the beginning and you create them. And there's a few cover songs on there, but I for the most part, the song Dragonfly, the title of the album, is just a really unique piece of art that I have never created that type of music before, and it's really different. So it may be your jam, it may not be, but it's very childlike and innocent, and you know, hopefully Disney will see it that way one day.
Well, it's Dragonfly, the song itself, which the album is titled after. Really and truly, when you hear it, it takes you somewhere. And I think that's what music is all about. If music can take you somewhere to change what's happening in your daily life in any way, it's magic. So music is magic, but it does. That particular song does take me somewhere when I hear it.
Now, it's interesting, the dynamic of a husband-wife team that's so successful and have been making music for so long. Do you guys like collaborate on songs? Do you co-write together? Do you bounce songs off of her and you off of him and say, do you like this? Do you think, you know, do you not, you know, involve your partner in those decisions?
I can only say that many times at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, I'll be sound asleep and Kelly will go, I got an idea for a song. Listen to this. And I'm like, so, yeah, we have written together. We have songs that we have recorded that we have written. But yeah, we bounce things off of each other quite often. But she's kind of the writer in the family more than myself.
And your new album is Midnight in Memphis. The album before that was filled with duets with George Jones, Jerry Lee Lewis, quite a few other stars. Do you have anybody that you haven't worked with that's on your wish list that you would like to work with? That could be dead or alive. Give me 3 names.
I would like to have worked with Sinatra. I'm a huge big band guy. Okay, I love full orchestrations. The Nelson Riddle Orchestra, of course, was Sinatra's big band leader, and I don't know. I've always had a love for his music, and his life intrigued me, the way he handled his career, and and that would have probably been my main jam, would have been to be able to record with Sinatra.
And how about you, Kelly?
Well, I wish I could have sung with Kenny Rogers. That would have been a real thrill for me. But if you're speaking people that are here still, I'd love to sing with Michael Bublé. I think he would be a fun fit.
Wow, wow, wow. So you guys aren't just locked into country music, which seems to be an interesting thing right now because, you know, Beyonce's new album just came out. Yep. She's doing country music and doing it well. And so it's very interesting. So, and I read, TG, where your influence is R&B as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, I started off in Memphis, you know, that's where I grew up. And of course, I was influenced by Stax Records with Booker T and the MGs and the Staple Singers and rhythm and blues music. So my music has always had those overtones, what I call Southern blues country. And but yeah, rhythm and blues. And of course, I was discovered by Berry Gordy at Motown, who signed me to their country label back in 1974. Wow. So I have kind of close connections with people who are involved with rhythm and blues, and Berry Gordy was one of those people.
And you know, good music is good music. You know, it doesn't matter what genre it's in. But I've had the privilege of recording with Olivia Newton-John, and that was certainly not, you know, mainstream country. And I've performed with Barry Gibb before, and it's just great music is great music. I welcome Beyonce into country music, just like rock and roll has embraced Dolly. You know, I think it's incredible that they can cross genres, and there's room for everyone.
Yes, there is. Music is great, and it's the international language, as they say. And so, Kelly, you just you did a recent performance in the Grand Ole Opry. You were on stage there.
Well, you've done your homework. Yes, I did. I'm a almost 20-year breast cancer survivor.
Oh, and bless your heart.
Thank you. It's been a journey, no doubt. But the Opry goes pink in October each year, and they celebrate, you know, breast cancer survivors and raise awareness. And they asked me to come and sing a couple of songs as my duet. I mean, my debut for that. I've done duets with TG and Barry Gibb on the Opry before, but as a solo, I've not performed on there until then. And it was really, to me, it was a highlight of my career. I really enjoyed that evening.
That's fantastic. I'm sorry.
Every singer, especially a country singer, their main dream is to stand in the circle of the Grand Ole Opry. And, you know, Kelly, to be able to have her make her debut this past year was real special. I've been fortunate to play it hundreds of times through my career, but
bragger.
But the Opry really is that one place that every singer aspires to play.
Yes.
And the Ryman, that's another one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You guys are, you know, you've got all the accomplishments and accolades and the millions of fans and the millions of record sales and all the #1 hits. What's been the highlight for each one of you individually as an artist?
Kelly?
I thought you would go first.
I think the highlight for me was being able to headline in Las Vegas. I used to headline there at the old Desert Inn, which is now the Wynn property, or in Wynn. But I played back in the 80s and early 90s at the Desert Inn when Howard Hughes was living on the top floor. No one ever saw him, of course. But that was back in the Rat Pack days, and that's back in the days of Sinatra would come in and play the room after me or before me, or Dean Martin, or those guys, Mac Davis, Tony Orlando. It was just a magical time for Vegas back then. So I think that was one of the highlights, but the second highest highlight was being able to play for presidents.
Yeah, I was going to say it's probably
getting the invitation to play for Ronald Reagan at the White House, and then getting the invitation to play for George Bush Sr. at the White House was always very special, to be able to perform in that incredible historical place.
And I
Well,
think
what?
agree with mine. Mine would be that just to call my heroes, musical heroes, our friends,
Yeah.
is the highlight for me. When you pick up the phone and you see somebody like Olivia calling, or Barry Gibb calling, or whomever it may be that we admire or look up to consider them friends, and it's a small unit of family,
Yeah.
really.
Mhm.
That is the highlight for me. I take it on a more personal level because it means that you've been accepted into that circle, and it's really a beautiful thing.
Have you ever, either one of you, asked for someone's autograph? And if so, who?
Um, hmm,
I've never had that question.
No.
Larry, what a great question. Never had that question.
I think Taylor Swift said it right when she said that the selfie is the new version of the autograph. So yes, if you want to look at it like
Yeah.
that, I've done a lot of selfies with artists that we loved before, but I can't even think of an autograph I would have asked for.
No, I
I'm
can't
sure I
either.
did. I'm sure I did.
Even back in the Elvis days, when I spent time with him, I never asked for an autograph. I never even asked for a photograph because back then the cell phones we didn't have those with cameras built into them. You had to actually carry a camera around with you. But no one in particular. No one in particular.
Now, you did mention, your days with Elvis. I know you were very good friends with Elvis. Can you tell us something about Elvis that was maybe misunderstood or misconception, that people have it wrong based on your relationship with him?
A lot of people always felt that Elvis was this country guy that just got lucky as a singer. And of course, he came from humble beginnings, poor, to wind up rich and famous. Elvis was a very smart man. He was well read. He always kept dozens of books going with markers in them. So he was well read, very astute as far as a conversationalist on any topic or any subject. He would be able to sit down and converse with you. So I think that, and also the other side of him that people didn't really understand was his comical side. He loved to laugh. And that's the one thing I miss the most about him is that deep laugh. He was quite a jokester. He loved to play tricks and practical jokes on people. You'd be sitting in the Memphis and watching a movie, and all of a sudden you'd feel a bucket of water over your head. I mean, he would laugh, and that was the payoff for him. But those two things I think was the fact that he was really astute and very smart and well read, and then the comical side of him, and of course his spiritual side too. He was, wow, quite a spiritual guy, quite a Christian.
We're talking with T.G. Sheppard and Kelly Lang, a couple of country music giants. And if somebody came to you, Kelly and T.G., and said, you can only pick one or the other, music, songwriting, or singing, what would it be? I have a feeling the answer might be different for both of you.
With me, it's performing because it's instant gratification.
That was the question. Songwriting or singing?
Well, singing.
Okay.
I'm trying to answer. Singing for me is, and that it comes in the form of performing, because it's instant gratification when you're on a stage and you have the people give back to you instantly if they're liking what you do through their applause or their laughter or their reaction to what you're doing. So singing for me is the ultimate as opposed to songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
And
how about you?
Songwriting is hard. It doesn't come very often, and I just have to wait for it to come. So my enjoyment, my happiest place on earth is either in my swimming pool where I do a lot of my writing, or in the recording studio when I love to sing. I really feel complete in the studio recording. But writing is a chore. It doesn't come every day, and it doesn't come naturally sometimes, but he'll disagree with that. But you have to be very, very quiet and still, and it's hard for me to still my brain to do that. So singing is more fun for me.
And I always ask songwriters, what is the most unusual situation or place that you ever wrote a song? What was the most unusual inspiration? Now, you just said swimming, you're in the swimming pool, which is, I'm sure that's unusual, but there may be other places.
Well, the first song I ever wrote was in a bathtub. So yeah. So
you in water. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, me with water. I love to be in water. It calms me. But I have written a song before on the side of an interstate with a lipstick liner and a napkin. So,
Wow.
desperate times cause for desperate measures, but it was just, I didn't have the right tools to write it down with, and I knew I would forget it if I didn't grab what I could find then. So that was probably the weirdest place I've ever written something. Oh, I've on the back of bags on the airplane. I have done that. So
Wow. So you have had some interesting places. TG, I mean, how about you?
With me, I don't know. Gosh, it's just I'm a different type of writer than Kelly. I'm not as spontaneous as she is. I don't write as much as I used to.
A funny interjection here.
What?
I was on a bad date one time, really bad date.
Uh-oh.
So I excused myself to go to the restroom because I heard a song coming.
Yeah.
By the time I got out of there, the date was completely over and I didn't care, but I wrote
You got the song out of it.
That's a great story. I love that. And I always say, don't date a songwriter because you could end up being sung about.
Absolutely.
So we've got two of the biggest names in country music today on the show. And looking back at your career, 25 albums, TG, since 1975, does it seem like a flash or does it seem like it's been 25 years? I mean, has it gone by quickly?
It does seem like a flash, Larry. It amazes me how quickly time goes. It seems like just yesterday I was telling myself, if I could just have one or two albums and maybe one or two #1 hits, I would be fulfilled. I never dreamed that I would still be touring today, 50 years. Next year is my 50th year of touring.
Oh, great. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. But to still be out here doing this 50 years later, I would never have imagined having that many albums and 21 or 22 #1 hit songs. It's a very magical business, and I think that's what intrigues people to be in it, because in any moment during the day, your life can change with a phone call or something can happen that just puts you in a different plateau of life. It's a very magical business. It's very addicting. It's something that everybody aspires to if you're a singer, to have fame and fortune. With me, fame and fortune is not the most important thing. To me, the most important thing is to have my relationships with my wife, my family, and my friends. Mm-hmm. And I have some great famous friends, which, wow, we're so blessed. But no, it's gone very quickly, and I wish I could slow it down. But I guess that comes to the thing of always take the time to stop and smell the roses, because it goes quickly. And I wish I'd taken more time to stop and smell the roses.
Well, it must be a very unique experience to one night have, Willie Nelson at the dinner table with you, and the next night Olivia Newton-John or whomever. That just is a life that people only think about or dream about, but you actually have lived that life.
Well, there was a really interesting night at this very table that we're sitting at.
Yeah, that we're sitting at right now.
A few years ago, we had Barry Gibb and Olivia Newton-John here at this table, and they had both been most recent, right before that, knighted by the Queen. So we served royalty, basically, if you think about it, and their spouses were considered dame, and I don't know what John's title would have been, but if I was serving dinner for them as friends, that's one thing, but then I have such admiration for them as music, and then you add the royalty on top. I was a nervous wreck that night. I was like, the curtsy in front of them.
Yes, I was going to say, did you curtsy?
Well, they didn't take themselves very seriously. They're really sweet and very modest themselves. They don't even like to use those titles. It's kind of weird when you stop and think about who you're entertaining, and we're just so grateful. We're just
a lot of times, it sounds like, and we have to really be careful because we feel like we're name dropping, and because we are in a business to where our friends are famous people, because we are in that business where they are famous people involved. And to be able to sit at the dinner table with Barry Gibb and Olivia Newton-John, or to be able to spend time with Lionel Richie or whoever it is, our friends, or Elvis, we have truly been blessed. That's what it's all about in life. It's not about, as I said earlier, fame or fortune. It's about relationships, because to quote in the movie Rocky, someone said, when the smoke clears and they quit screaming your name, I will be here. So in our business, when the smoke clears and the fame is gone or whatever, your relationship with your friends are going to wind up being the most important part of your life. And that's the most important part for us of our life is our
Yes.
friends.
And did you, speaking of friends, and let's add fans to that, because I'm sure there's a lot of people who are your friends that are your fans, and you have fans, many millions of fans. Do you have names for your fans? Do you call them anything?
Well, we call them by their name. Not really.
No?
I mean, well, we use the word fans because they are fans. What you
I don't like using the word fan because
Yeah, I don't either.
I'm uncomfortable with that because I mean, although I'm a fan of people, you know, I don't certainly mind being called fans, but I learned this from Conway. My dad was Conway Twitty's road manager for 25 years.
Wow.
He embraced his fans as an extension of their family. And I really like to look at it like that because without somebody supporting you, we would be nothing. We would have absolutely no person to sing to, nobody to share our music with. So they're really an extension of our friends or family.
Yeah.
I like them so much.
Good way of putting it.
Yeah, Conway.
Conway, wow, that you know, it's only make believe. But
Yeah.
yeah, I love that song. Now, you know, you guys have been doing this long enough to have influenced many other people's lives, and people have given you advice along the way, I'm sure, early on in your careers. What was the best advice you ever got?
Wow.
Well, do you recall the name Johnny Russell?
Johnny Russell, no?
He was a Grand Ole Opry member. He wrote
They're going to
Put Me in the Movies for the Beatles. Yeah. So, or Ringo. Anyway, he was a wonderful friend, funny entertainer, and really, really funny. But he pulled me aside when I was much younger, and he says, "Kelly, you are needing to get tougher skin. You're too vulnerable and too kind to people. You're just accepting, you know, if they don't like, if you're a shoemaker and they don't like your shoes, you don't take it personal. But if you're in the music business and they don't like you, they don't like you. There's something personally about you. You got to get tougher skin." And it took me a really long time to really digest that and realize, oh, not everybody is on your side. Okay.
My advice came from Elvis.
Mm.
We're sitting in the jungle room at Graceland one night, and of course, I lived there many years, as you know, when I was a kid, and he actually saved my life. I mean, really, I was a runaway and eating out of garbage cans and sleeping in alleyways. But after I had a couple of #1 records, matter of fact, he gave me my first tour bus to get me started. One night we're at Graceland, and he turned to me and he said, "Can I give you some advice because your career looks like it's going to take off?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Always remember this, that if you ever forget where you came from, you're never going to get where you want to go. There's no room for ego in this business because the fans that give it to you will take it as quickly as they give it if your ego gets out of whack." So that mantra, I have lived by that in my career, that advice that he gave me. So Elvis was the one that gave me my advice.
And it seems like country music fans are much more loyal than pop music. You know, they stick with you, and you probably have different generations of fans now, you know, grandparents and grandchildren and so on and so forth, because you've been doing this for so long. Do you remember where you were, TG, when you heard your first #1 song, when somebody called you on the phone and said, "You're #1"? That's a memory usually that sticks with an artist.
I was sitting in the car, hearing it for the first time, and it was just really incredible, a moment. Yeah.
I want to share the story. He had pitched the song "Devil in a Bottle" to several people, and he got turned down a lot. His first #1, he got turned down a lot. But I love the story that he went to the mailbox one day, and in one hand he pulled out the billboard where his song was #1, and in the other hand he pulled out a package saying, "We're so sorry to decline their song. It's not commercial at this time." Same song.
Same song.
Same day, you know, so.
One hand a rejection, the other hand #1. So that was a magical moment.
You have to find your own truth and your own confidence within that in order, because it's just opinions, you know.
Well, I know which hand I would have picked if I were you. We've got T.G. Sheppard and Kelly Lang, who are with us here on Border Crossings. Now, T.G., your new album is Midnight in Memphis. We talked about Kelly's album, Dragonfly. Tell me about your new album.
Well, it actually started because of Kelly. I hadn't done at that time a solo album, country album, in 22 years. I'd done other albums like the duet album and other projects. And I didn't really want to record for 22 years because I didn't know where I fit in. And Kelly told me, look, just go and find the best songs you can find, and they will take you where you're supposed to go. You'll find your way. Because music has been changing so much in country the last few years. And lo and behold, the first song that came my way was from my friend Barry Gibb. He wrote a song called Midnight in Memphis. And he said, look, I've written a song for your album, and if you don't record it, I'll never pitch it to another artist. So it's your song. So that kind of got me started in the direction of doing a new album. And Midnight in Memphis was a labor of love that Kelly was responsible for talking me into getting back in the studio to. She says, look, you've been singing the same #1 songs over and over forever. People want to hear something different. So
give them some new #1 songs.
Give us some new #1. So it was, as I say, a lot of fun to do that album. And it just, I've been very blessed to have had great friends that write great songs for me.
Mm-hmm. And I know Barry Gibb, he was on the show a couple of years ago. He just did an Americana album, so which is a little unusual for Barry Gibb, but that's what he did. So maybe he's kind of going into that genre.
Well, you think it's unusual, and it does seem unusual for someone who has had such success in disco, but his heart is in bluegrass.
Wow.
He loves bluegrass
wow.
music. He listens to it all day long, every day, and country music, he's a very avid fan, and I think the harmonies of bluegrass are reminiscent in what him and his brothers have done in the past. And I don't know, it surprised us too when we first learned of his love of that, but it doesn't surprise us now.
I mean, the first time we sat down with Barry at his house in Miami, he picks up a guitar and he starts singing the Marty Robbins songs.
Oh, wow.
And Roy Orbison songs and Johnny Cash songs and bluegrass. And I'm going, you know these songs? He said, well, yeah, but back when I was starting out in Australia in Isle of Man, he said, pop music to us back then was Johnny Cash and Charlie Rich and those artists. Mm-hmm. So country has always been in my blood. So he loves country and loves the Gaithers. He loves gospel music too.
Mm-hmm. So as somebody who's been in this business as long as you both have, and thank you for being so generous with your time. We're almost out of time, but I have a couple more questions. Have you had an opportunity to do you think you've hit your peak, your maximum potential? Do you think you're still not there yet? I mean, as an artist, where do you think?
I don't think you ever think you're there yet.
Oh,
I've always believed that when you stop dreaming, you die. I've always been a big dreamer. There's always something on the horizon that I aspire to want to do or try. Mm-hmm. So, no, I've never felt that I have arrived with success.
It's amazing with all of the success.
And I think that helps keep your ego in check a little bit too, because if you think you're really that great and that good, you're going to get in trouble with your ego. Mm-hmm. I will always be striving to go forward, and that's what gets me up every day and keeps me going on stage each night, is the fact that tomorrow something could happen that just takes you a little further than you've been already.
Yeah, the journey is the payoff. I love waiting for things to happen or having some goal and you haven't met it yet. And there's all kinds of goals that I have.
That old saying of success is not a place, it's a journey.
It's a journey, yeah.
You have
really
to take the time to enjoy the journey, because that's the most fun part of the trip.
Bill, you are two great people, and obviously I can see what makes this relationship work, because you balance each other out so well. And, it's a great collaboration. Marriage is not easy. The business is not easy. So looking back at this business as it's changed over the years that you've been involved with it, for both of you, do you like where country's at right now? Is there a favorite time that you have and a favorite era of country?
Well, I married my favorite era, so that answers that.
The 80s.
The 80s and 90s. I like all kinds of music, as we discussed earlier. I don't understand a lot of today's music. Some of it is more of a sound or a chant or a repetitive feeling. I like the era of the 80s and 90s a bit more, but that's just my personal preference. I like all music, but I prefer the 80s or 90s.
Yeah, me too.
All right, great era. I mean, there's a lot of, we had Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers and Vince Gill and Mickey Gilley. And
by the way, I want to mention, we did a duet album years ago called Iconic Duets. It had a lot of the classic duets on there, like Johnny and June or Dolly and Kenny and things. So we had so much fun recording iconic duets that we are just now finishing up a new album with even more fun duets on it. And we love to perform on the road together. It's super exciting for us to work together. And I stay home and write or something when I'm not working on the road with him. But go to our websites, kellylang.net and tgsheppard.com, to check out where we're performing together in your areas, because we've got a lot coming up.
The new duet album would be coming out in a few months. And of course, we've released the first single was You're Still the One, the old Shania Twain hit that we made a duet out of. And the new single, the latest one, is called Addicted to You, and which is a song that Kelly wrote. And so we hope people will enjoy the new duet album.
do you do a lot of international touring? We're broadcasting in 100 countries right now. People are all around the world are seeing you, some meeting you for the first time, some already have been big fans for years. But VOA has, millions of listeners, and you have millions of fans.
Fantastic. I've performed in Switzerland a couple of times, and Vienna, and I think you've performed in England before. And
and Germany, and just different places. The real true country fan overseas is a different fan than they are in America. The crowds are different. They're very appreciative of seeing you come that far to perform for them.
That's one of our goals, is to perform in Europe more often. That we love to travel, we love to experience new things. So from your channel and your network to their ears, perhaps we can get that going.
Yeah, we love traveling overseas and reaching a new audience.
Once more, can I have your websites for our audience who want to check you out and get more information?
I am tgsheppard.com, and Kelly is kellylang.net. And we invite all of you also to follow us on our social platforms, Instagram, Twitter, X now, and of course, Facebook, and go to our YouTube channels. We're always putting up new content and videos on the YouTube channels.
And click subscribe.
Yeah.
That always makes a difference.
But we hope people will check out our websites and catch us on tour and keep up with what we're doing, because we love what we do, and we are blessed to do what we do.
And we are reaching a large audience, which includes the troops. Is there any message that you'd like to end with for the audience and the troops?
That's another whole show in itself. I'm such a patriot. I have such an appreciation for the men and women who give us what we have here.
We are so spoiled here because of their generosity. Thank you so much.
We are so blessed to have live in a country to where we have the men and women who really and truly, they're our heroes. They are our heroes. And so they always will be. And we always enjoy performing for them too, whenever possible.
Well, thank you both for joining us. T.G. Sheppard's new album, Midnight in Memphis, and Kelly Lang's new album is Dragonfly. Please go to their socials, go to their websites, get a copy of the new album. Support them if they're performing where you are. Maybe invite them to where you are so that they can come and perform in other countries around the world. Thank you both so much for doing this for us, and it's an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show.
Larry, the honor was all ours. Yes. You are the master of interviewing. You have mastered the art of conversation, my friend. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Come back again. When you put out the next duets, please do come back again. We'd love to have you both on.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.
This is Border Crossings. You're watching VOA TV.